Hi everyone, I'm Emily Fowler. I want to welcome you to Cooking with Class at Johnson County Community College. We're here in our kitchens today with Andrew Kneessy. Andrew is the executive chef at the Kansas City Country Club. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
You bet. It's good to see you here.
Nice to see you again.
And first of all, before we get into your wonderful recipe that you're going to prepare for us, you and I were talking a little earlier, and you were saying that you've been really helpful to our culinary program in training chef apprentice students in your kitchen, and you have some of our graduates also working for you. So tell us kind of how that works.
Well, I've been at the club about 10 years now, and I got involved in the program right away when I moved to town because I thought it was a great opportunity for a great workforce opportunity. I want to have people in my kitchen that aspire to be chefs and are passionate about this, so it's worked out well. Right now I have 3 apprentices, I have 3 graduates of the program, and I just hired 2 more that will be starting in a month when they start in the middle of August. So
wow,
we'll have a bunch of them there.
That's really great. And
yes.
So when they're finished with their training with you, they're really able to do almost anything in the kitchen, probably everything in the kitchen.
Absolutely. They kind of start on the cold side and doing the salads and stuff like that, and they work their way around. At a country club where I am, there's a great opportunity to see and do a lot of different things. We do large weddings. We do different banquet. We did a cookout for 1,500 people the other day. John Schmidt is a graduate for me, and he's managing the pool cafe, which is a pretty significant operation for us. And they do that. They generally will stay on at the club for about a year after they graduate, and then they will move on. In fact, John's getting ready to move on in the fall, which is why I bring in the process again, and I'll bring in somebody new starting in August.
Okay. And where do they go when they leave you? Do they stay here in town, or do they go around the world?
Oh, it varies. You know, I have some people out there working all over the place in Kansas City at different restaurants. Some of them move on. Kind of depends.
Well, yeah, it's kind of interesting how almost any restaurant you go into in Kansas City, there's somebody that's affiliated with our culinary program here.
Absolutely.
So you've helped us achieve that.
Well, thank you.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. I think you're going to make flank steak tacos and salsa
flank steak
today?
tacos with authentic tacos with some great homemade salsa. I just want to show people how simple it is to make a great salsa. It's very easy to do. And these tacos are just something different since it's summer right now on the grill. Cook this stuff up. Street food is very popular right now. I just kind of want to show those weekend warrior grill people how easy it is to do some great tacos out on the grill.
That sounds great. Now, as I was saying to you earlier, my mama always said, don't use flank steak, honey, it's going to get tough.
Yes.
So it's not, is what you told me.
We're going to do our best to make sure that it's not, yes. Partly is marinating it, partly is how you slice it up.
Okay.
But it's a very common cut of meat that they do use for tacos in Mexico. Comes from the belly of the cow, and it's actually very flavorful, and it's a nice value cut.
Why do you think people have that opinion? Just because it's cheaper than some other cuts of steak?
I would say possibly if people are overcooking the meat and making it, well done, and not cutting it properly, you want to cut it against the grain as opposed to with the grain.
Okay.
So all those things kind of play a part.
Okay, well, take us through it.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is I have this flank steak here. This weighs about 1.5 pounds, and what we're going to do is we are going to marinate that first so I can kind of get that marinating, then we're going to make the salsa. So this is very simple with the blender here. I have some garlic. It's about a tablespoon, maybe a little more. I love garlic.
A little more is good, yeah.
Garlic. I don't want to, steal Emeril Lagasse's line or anything, but chili powder. We're going to take some fresh cilantro in here and reserve some of it.
And I'm sure you have measurements for this, but salsa's really to taste, don't you think? A lot of people add what they like.
Absolutely. Cooking is to taste. You want to follow a recipe, you can be a pastry chef. But other than that, you kind of have to go with the taste and adjust on the fly, things like that. Always go on low.
Okay, what kind of consistency are you shooting for there?
It is like a vinaigrette. It's basically like a dressing, like a vinaigrette dressing.
Okay, so pureed really.
Pureed, very fine. Very simple, right? Just throw that in the blender. Now I'm going to take the glove here, and I'm going to kind of rub that marinade onto it. And this is something you can do ahead. You can do this 6 hours ahead. Heck, you could do it a day ahead if you wanted to.
Okay, so just put the marinade, get it in, rubbed in really well, and leave it in the refrigerator for a while?
Exactly. Picks up all the flavor, helps to tenderize it. Okay, so we're going to let that marinate.
Now, are all marinades for flavor, or do they all kind of help to tenderize the cut of meat that you're using?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
But absolutely for flavor. I like to marinate most of the meats that I use. Imparts great flavor.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the simple salsa. We have a pot of water here, and all it is you would take these tomatoes and put it in the water. You throw the recipe. I have 2 jalapenos, but this is a very large jalapeno, so we're doing 1. This will give it plenty of heat. You can cut back if you don't like it too spicy.
Okay.
Okay, so we would just simmer that. Through the magic of television, we're going to end up with something like this, which is the cooked down tomatoes.
Okay.
You know, so we're going to strain the water out of here.
There you go. Yeah, and tip it up a little bit.
So we're going to strain the water and just pull out the tomato and the pepper, but you're still going to end up with some because the tomatoes absorb that. And that's what we are going to use to puree to make the salsa, so it's as simple as that.
Okay. Do you put it in the water then boil, or do you
Yes.
put it in the boiling water?
No, it's a lot safer to do it this way.
Okay.
Put it in the water, bring it up to a boil, and it'll burn yourself.
Okay.
When it's tender, it takes probably about 30 minutes at a simmer, just below a boil, and it'll get all tender like this. So then we're going to puree this. I don't want to go too much, so it's too fine. If you want, keep it kind of chunky.
Oh, that looks great. And this is the freshest way to do this, obviously.
This is the freshest way. I mean, it doesn't have a great shelf life. If you make a salsa like this, it's going to be good for a day, a couple of days, probably 2 days. But the flavor is just so much better, and especially this time of year where there's heirloom tomatoes, that imparts such a great flavor as well. And then what we're going to do is we have the basic of the salsa here,
Okay.
which doesn't have corn syrup and all the stuff you find in some salsas. And then we're going to take this onion, a red onion, and we're going to start adding stuff after that. So that's almost like the base. So now you could add really what you want.
Okay.
So we're just going to add some red onion, some really fine diced avocado, and a little bit of lime. And this again is a decent sized onion, so we're going to just use half of this onion.
Okay.
Try to go small, best you can.
I always like to ask if you cry when you
I do.
chop onions.
I do. I believe you both have a tolerance, and I haven't peeled onions in a while, so.
I'll get you a
yes.
tissue if it becomes a problem.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that.
Oh, you're very welcome.
It's so good, it's making me cry.
Now, is there a reason to use purple onion, white onion, Vidalia onion? Just a preference again on taste?
Yeah, I like the red onion. I think if nothing else, it adds some nice color to the salsa that you see in the onion. Vidalia onions are great. They're sweet. It would certainly sweeten up the salsa a little bit. Okay, then I'm going to do an avocado. Careful with this. Peel all the way around. Twist it. These are nice and ripe.
I was going to say you've picked a really good one because when they're ripe, the skin should come off easily, right?
It should come off easily and it should cut easily. It's very difficult to do in the grocery stores, find nice avocados, which is why I will put a plug out for the Price Chopper over there on Row, near I-35 and Row. That's where I get a lot of these products. They have a great produce section. It is a very heavily frequented store by Latinos. So their fruit is always perfect, always ripe. Their mangoes, their avocado. And they have some different products there, like they make their own tortillas there. They have some of these Mexican cheeses. Now this, obviously you want to get this, you don't want to do this ahead so the avocado doesn't turn brown.
So this, if you're going to make your salsa ahead of time, you can just add the avocados right before you serve.
Exactly. Okay, I'm going to reserve this avocado. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of chopped cilantro.
Okay.
And for this, I'm gonna chop it fine, so I'm gonna leave the stem right in there. This is kind of the, you know, the tips of the avocado. So I'm sorry, the cilantro. So it's pretty fine.
Okay. The colors mixing together are really appetizing to look at. I mean,
It is
not
a
only does
beautiful
it
color,
smell
isn't it?
great, yeah, it looks wonderful.
Okay, now we're going to add a little bit of salt. We cannot forget our salt and pepper. People are probably cringing, thinking I'm too much salt and pepper, but you got to use the salt. You need to flavor that food. And there's a pretty good looking fresh salsa.
Oh, that
How
looks
simple
beautiful.
is that to make? That was,
Absolutely. Very nice.
okay, so here's our steak that's been marinating. Looks outstanding. We would cook that on the grill. It'll take probably about 5 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes on each side.
Okay.
And
And
then
does
you
that
always-
make it well done, medium
No,
rare?
no, that'll make it where it's medium,
Okay.
medium rare to medium. And then ideally what you want to do is when you cook the steak like that on the grill, you want to let it rest before you cut it. So I do like a cookie tray, somewhere where the juices can drip down.
Okay.
That's kind of letting the meat rest so the juices don't come out when you cut it.
So
And-
resting allows the juice to kind of reabsorb into the meat,
Exactly.
makes it moister.
Yes, you
Okay.
never want to obviously pull it off and start slicing it up. You know, you wouldn't want to pull a turkey out of the oven at Thanksgiving and start cutting up right away, or you'll have all these juices all over your kitchen.
Okay.
Again, through the magic of television,
Wow, I'm so happy to be
the
part
flank
of
steak
that.
will end up looking like that.
Okay.
I'm going to kind of warm it here for the guys. And then I almost forgot to put my lime zest in there. So I'm going to put a little lime zest in here as well. This is a microplane. It's a little fancy zester sold in Home Depots and Lowe's as well as kitchen places.
Oh, wow.
You just want to get the green. You don't want the pith. You just want the skin.
Now, what does that do exactly to the flavor?
This is going to really kick it up the acidity. You know, you really need acidity in food. The acidity kind of gets your taste buds salivating and adds a little zing to the food.
Okay.
So for the lime, once I zest it, I'm going to squeeze it a little bit, roll it on the board, so now it's just full of juice. So that's kind of a little trick of the trade. The good thing about limes is there's no seeds in them. So we can just squeeze away. Now we're talking. The sauce should be good.
Oh, I can smell that lime. It smells great.
Okay, so
All right.
this meat that has been cooked and rested for a while.
It's a fine looking piece of meat.
It is a nice piece of meat, it has great flavor. So what we're going to do is we're going to go, this is the way the grain's going, so we're going to go against the grain and we're going to kind of go a little bit of an angle. And this is also outstanding just to do, and you have it with roasted potatoes and corn on the cob.
Great color to that, too.
Okay, so now we're going to cut it small, so that also helps in making sure that it's not tough. You're not trying to eat a big piece of that. It's really fine. Okay, so then we would take our corn tortillas, which I prefer. You could use a flour tortilla, but as far as a corn tortilla, a good quality corn tortilla, the kind that they make at the store fresh, and you see that in a lot of these grocery stores now. They're doing that.
That's right.
You would throw these right on the grill.
Okay.
We have the grill here. We have a little griddle that I've kind of warmed the pan. And kind of the way to do that is they always do in two tacos, two corn tortillas to eat the taco. Just easier to do.
Okay.
So it doesn't fall apart in your hand. Set that there.
Well, and the corn tortillas seem to be a better size for tacos, obviously.
Yes.
Some of the flour tortillas get a little big.
Okay, nice warm tortilla. Okay, I'm going to take a little spoon of the salsa.
Okay.
You're going to take a little bit of this crema. Now this crema it's similar to a sour cream in the consistency. It just doesn't have that sour tang to it, so it's fresh.
Okay.
It's a fresh, thick cream, so
So that's going to be a little different for those of us that are used to throwing sour cream on there.
a little bit of that on there. Wedge of fresh avocado.
Very good. Now this seems like a really easy thing to just kind of come home from work, as long as you've had your meat marinating all day, obviously.
Right.
Throw it on the grill for 5 minutes, chop it up, you've got your salsa done.
Piece of cake,
Seems
right?
like an easy thing
That's
to do,
right.
yeah.
That's what we're trying to do here, is show people that, you know, you can eat well and it's simple. It doesn't have to be very complicated. Okay, this is a fresh, it's called queso fresco. It's a fresh cheese.
Okay.
It's where they press the whey, and very common in Mexican cuisine. It's almost like a feta cheese in its consistency without that real sharpness. I could either use this, or for people that don't have one of these at home, it's actually a good crumbling cheese.
Okay.
And it's very interesting, this cheese, because when you heat it up, it gets warm. It keeps its shape. It doesn't melt out. It just gets soft, but doesn't lose its shape.
Okay. And this kind of goes along with the fresh salsa, the fresh avocado.
We're going to add a little lime for the acidity to wake up the taste buds.
Okay.
We're going to put a couple of fresh cilantro leaves in there. Almost looks good enough for breakfast.
Lovely.
And you would pick it up like that
Mm-hmm.
and have
And
a
eat it
great
like a
simple
taco. Great.
in an authentic style.
Very, very wonderful. Thank you so much for coming in and doing this
My pleasure.
for us. We appreciate it. And for those of you out there watching, if you'd like to learn more about the culinary program at Johnson County Community College, or if you'd like to find the recipe for flank steak tacos and fresh salsa, brought to us today by Andrew Kneessy from the Kansas City Country Club, please go to our website, www.jccc.edu. So for Cooking with Class, I'm Emily Fowler. We'll see you next time.